how to walk, talk, and work like a winner. You've been moving through life like a passenger, waiting for direction, wandering, wishing, hoping someone else sees your worth. But deep down, winners don't wait. They move with intention. And starting today, so will you. Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you walked into a room and owned it not because of what you wore or how loud you spoke, but because your presence carried purpose? Most people move through life like sleepwalkers. They wake up, check their phones, do what's expected, talk without thinking, work without soul, and then wonder why they feel empty. But not you. Not anymore. Because you're here. And that means something inside of you is ready to wake up. I want to speak directly to that part of you. The part that's done drifting. The part that's sick of being overlooked. The part that's tired of being almost confident, almost successful, almost fulfilled. You've been in rooms where your heart whispered, "You don't belong here," and you stayed anyway. You've said yes when everything in you was screaming no, because you didn't want to disappoint anyone. You've lowered your voice to be liked. You've silenced your brilliance to avoid being too much. But let me tell you something. You are not too much. You are not lost. You're just untrained. You've been moving without intention, and that's about to change. This is not just motivation. This is a new philosophy for how you walk, how you talk, how you work, how you live. Because when you move with intention, the world moves with you. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become aligned. Every step, a decision. Every word, a reflection. Every action, a seed. Imagine waking up tomorrow, and everything you do is infused with purpose. Your walk commands respect. Your speech builds bridges. Your work creates legacy. That's what this audiobook is about. Not overnight success, not fake confidence, but a quiet, unshakable power that begins from within and spills into everything you touch. We'll walk through it together, step by step, chapter by chapter. And by the end of this journey, you'll know what it means to move like a winner, not by luck, not by chance, but by choice. So if you're ready to stop drifting, if you're ready to stop apologizing, if you're ready to finally claim the life that's been waiting for you, then lean in, breathe, because this is the beginning of your intentional life. Chapter 1. Walk like you know where you're going even if you don't yet. Have you ever noticed someone walk into a room and everything just stops? Not because they're famous, not because they're flashy, but because of how they move. They walk with quiet certainty, not arrogance, but assurance, not rush, but rhythm, not attention-seeking, but presence. And the wild part? They might be just as confused as you are. They might not have all the answers, but they move like they belong. They carry themselves like the path is already unfolding in front of them, even if they can't see the whole thing yet. That's not luck. That's a choice. That's the art of walking with intention. Let me take you back to a moment. There was a time I used to walk with my head down, not because I was ashamed, but because I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want people to expect something from me. Because truthfully, I didn't believe I had much to offer. I'd walk into rooms and shrink. I'd speak and second-guess every word. I'd overthink my posture, my pace, my presence, like I was always apologizing for just existing. And then one day, I saw someone. They weren't dressed fancy. They weren't loud, but they walked across the street like the world owed them nothing. And yet they owned every step. Something about their energy said, "I know where I'm going, even if I don't have all the pieces yet." That day changed me, because I realized confidence isn't about having the answers. It's about committing to the path. It's about walking like the next step will appear not because you're lucky, but because you refuse to stay still. Let's be honest. Most people are walking scared. Scared of being judged. Scared of being misunderstood. Scared of getting it wrong. And that fear shows up in how they move. They slouch. They drag their feet. They hesitate at doorways, waiting for someone to invite them in. But not winners. Winners enter the room, not to prove anything, but because they believe they have something to offer, even if they're still figuring it out, even if they're nervous, even if their knees are shaking underneath their calm expression. Because moving like a winner doesn't mean faking perfection. It means owning your presence. So let me give you something simple, something powerful. Next time you walk anywhere, whether it's into a meeting, a grocery store, or your own kitchen, walk with your shoulders back, with your head up, with your eyes forward, with your breath slow and deep. That's not just body language. That's an energy declaration. You're telling your mind, we are here on purpose. You're telling the world, I'm not hiding anymore. You're telling your future, I'm ready even if I'm still learning. That's how momentum starts. Not with a perfect plan, but with a powerful step. Let's get practical for a second. Here are a few ways to walk with intention starting today. Before entering a room, pause and visualize how you want to feel. Not how others might judge you, how you want to show up. Breathe deeply as you move. Let each breath anchor your presence. Walk slightly slower than you're used to. Fast movement often signals anxiety. Calm, steady pace signals control. Make eye contact not to intimidate, but to connect. Let your steps match your goals. If you're heading toward growth, walk like someone who believes they belong there. These small shifts add up. They send messages to your nervous system. They rewire your subconscious. They train your body to behave like the future version of you before the world recognizes it. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine your life is a movie, and you're the main character. Now, how does that main character walk into a scene? Do they rush? Do they hesitate? Do they look down at the ground hoping not to be noticed? No, they walk in with intention because they know the plot revolves around them. So here's your challenge. Start walking like the movie is about you, because it is. You see, when you walk with intention, something strange happens. People treat you differently, not because you've changed your resume or your wardrobe, but because you've changed your vibration. Your energy becomes grounded. Your steps become messages. Your silence becomes confidence, and people pick up on that. Suddenly, you're being asked for input. Suddenly, people are looking to you for leadership. Suddenly, opportunities begin to notice you. Why? Because your walk said, I'm already on my way, and the world believes you. Let's pause here. Let's reflect. Ask yourself, what does my walk say about me today? Am I moving like someone who knows where they're going? Or am I shrinking, hesitating, waiting to be chosen? Because here's the truth. No one is coming to walk for you. No one is going to hold your hand through every door. No one will build your life for you. It's on you. But that's not a burden. That's your superpower. Because it means every single step is a chance to begin again, to reset, to realign, to walk forward with a little more certainty, a little more courage, and a lot more intention. So today, whether you're walking into a room, a new job, a conversation, or a season of life you're unsure about, do it like a winner. Straight spine, steady pace, clear eyes, because you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to move, like you know where you're going. And eventually, you will. Chapter 2. Talk like your words matter because they do. Your voice is one of the most powerful tools you'll ever own. But most people treat it like an afterthought. They mumble, they ramble, they speak just to fill silence, not to build something meaningful. Let me ask you this. When you speak, do your words carry weight? Do they linger in the room after you finish talking? Do they create respect, clarity, or confidence? Or do they dissolve into the background noise of small talk, hesitation, and half-truths? You see, talking with intention is about more than what you say. It's about how you say it, why you say it, and who you become in the process. Let's go deeper. I remember a season in my life when I constantly felt misunderstood. I'd say things and people would misinterpret me. I'd speak up and still feel invisible. It made me believe something was wrong with my voice, that maybe my words didn't matter. So I stopped speaking up altogether. But silence is not always strength. Sometimes it's surrender. And I had surrendered my power without even realizing it. Until one day, I heard someone speak, and everything changed. They weren't loud. They weren't fancy with their vocabulary. But when they talked, people listened. Hearts shifted. Minds opened. What was the difference? They spoke with conviction. Every word intentional. Every sentence clear. Every pause deliberate. It was like their voice had gravity. That's when I understood. Your voice is not just sound. It's energy. It's leadership. It's presence. Think about it. The greatest leaders in history weren't always the tallest in the room, or the wealthiest, or the most attractive. But when they spoke, the world moved. Why? Because their words were aligned with their purpose. They didn't speak to impress. They spoke to impact. And that's what you must train yourself to do. Let's break it down. Here are 5 ways to start talking with intention today. 1. Think before you speak. This sounds simple, but most people speak from impulse, not insight. Before you say something, ask, is this helping or hurting? Is this gossip or growth? Am I speaking from power or from pain? Intentional speech builds. Unfiltered speech burns. 2. Slow down. Speed is not strength. You don't need to rush your thoughts to sound smart. In fact, the slower you speak with confidence and clarity, the more people listen. Silence between your words? That's not weakness. It's presence. It's poise. It's proof that you're in control. 3. Use your tone as a tool. The tone of your voice communicates more than your words ever could. Speak with warmth when you want connection. Speak with calm when things feel chaotic. Speak with firmness when boundaries are crossed. Your tone is your instrument. Play it with purpose. 4. Don't waste your words. Words are currency. Don't spend them recklessly. If you keep giving discounts, always explaining, justifying, defending, you devalue your voice. Speak less, but mean more. Let your words land. Let them echo. Let them shape the atmosphere. 5. Tell the truth even when your voice shakes. This one, it's the hardest, but it's the most powerful. Speak your truth kindly, firmly, clearly. Because the moment you water down your words to make others comfortable, you betray yourself. And every time you do that, you chip away at your own identity. You were not born to be a parrot for someone else's opinion. You were born to lead with your own voice. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine your words are seeds. Every time you speak, you plant something. Now ask yourself, are you planting weeds or trees? Are your words creating confusion, division, and drama? Or are they building trust, clarity, and growth? Because every conversation is a garden, and your voice is the gardener. Speak like something beautiful will grow from your words. Because it will. Let's bring it home with some reflection. Ask yourself, what kind of energy follows my words? Do I talk just to be heard or to be helpful? Have I been using silence to protect my peace or to hide my pain? And most importantly, what kind of person do I become when I speak with purpose? Because how you talk shapes how people treat you. How you talk shapes how you feel about yourself. How you talk teaches the world how to listen to you. You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room. You just have to be the clearest and the most committed to speaking with intention. So today, when you speak, speak like your words matter. Speak like your voice belongs. Speak like the future is listening, because it is. Talk like a winner, because you are one. Chapter 3. Work like you're building something that will outlive you. You weren't born to just punch the clock, collect a paycheck, and repeat the same routine until your light fades out. You were born to build something bigger than survival. Something that outlives your schedule. Something that carries your name long after your hands are done working. This chapter is about work, but not just any kind. Not the kind of work that drains your soul. Not the kind that leaves you wondering, what's the point? We're talking about intentional work. Work that multiplies. Work that matters. Work that becomes your fingerprint on the world. Let me ask you, what are you building right now? Be honest. Are you working just to get through the day? Or are you working like your time means something? Most people They just work to avoid being broke. They grind for bills. They hustle for rent. They wake up already exhausted because they're chasing a finish line that keeps moving. But winners? Winners work with intention. They know every hour spent building today is a brick in the foundation of tomorrow. They don't just show up. They construct. They create. They craft legacy. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who laid bricks for a living, day in and day out, under the hot sun, stacking, mixing, lifting. Someone walked by and asked, "What are you doing?" The first man replied, "Can't you see? I'm laying bricks. It's hard. It's boring. It's just a job." But a few steps away, another man was doing the exact same thing. Same bricks, same heat. The same question was asked, "What are you doing?" And this man smiled and said, "I'm building a cathedral." Same job, different vision. The second man saw purpose in every stone. That's the difference between motion and meaning, between showing up and building something that lasts. So now I ask you, what are you building? Because whether you realize it or not, every email you write, every meeting you attend, every task you complete, it's a vote. A vote for the future you want or the one you're trying to escape. Let's get specific. Here's how to work with intention starting today. 1. Define the bigger mission. Ask yourself, if I keep doing what I'm doing, where will I be in 5 years? If the answer feels small, heavy, or hopeless, change direction. Not overnight, but with small, powerful steps. Write down what you want your work to build. Is it generational wealth? A business? Freedom? Peace of mind? Know the why behind your work. 2. Detach from meaningless busyness. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're productive. Don't confuse motion with progress. If your day is filled with low-value tasks that drain you, you're not working with intention. You're escaping the work that matters. Audit your time. Cut the noise. Prioritize impact. 3. Work like someone is watching your legacy. Because someone is. Your future self. Your kids. Your community. The world you're going to touch. Approach every project, no matter how small, with excellence. Don't just meet the minimum. Exceed the expectation because it's your name on the result. Winners don't cut corners. They carve pathways. 4. Rest, but don't quit. Intentional work respects rhythm. You don't have to grind yourself into the ground. Winners rest, but they rest to refuel, not to escape. Take breaks with purpose, but never forget the mission. Your work is sacred. Treat it like a seed. Water it. Protect it. Be patient with it. And one day, it will grow taller than you ever imagined. Let's talk legacy for a second. What does it mean to outlive your own work? It means your impact keeps moving. Even when you're no longer in the room, even when your hands stop building, it means someone reads your book and finds healing. It means your business employs others long after you're gone. It means your story becomes a blueprint for someone else's breakthrough. And all of that starts with how you work today. Let me give you a metaphor. Think of your work like a compass. Every time you move with intention, you point that needle toward true north, toward purpose, fulfillment, and freedom. But every time you drift, distracted, disengaged, disinterested, the compass spins. And if it spins too long, you end up in a place you were never meant to be. So here's your moment to recalibrate. Today, right now, this very moment, you can start working like your future depends on it. Because it does. Let's reflect together. Am I working with vision or just for validation? Does my daily grind lead to my desired future or am I just surviving? What would change if I treated every task like it was part of my legacy? Winners don't just do work. They build cathedrals. You don't need to be the CEO yet. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to show up with purpose every single day. One brick, one page, one phone call, one move closer. And over time, you won't just have a job, you'll have a legacy. Because you worked like it would outlive you. And it will. You want to know why some people stay stuck even when they're talented? It's not because they lack potential. It's because they leak energy. Every day, they give their best to things that don't give anything back. They overthink, overgive, overexplain, until they're emotionally bankrupt, and they wonder why they're tired all the time, even when they've done nothing. It's not the work, It's the waste. So hear me now. Your energy is your greatest asset, not your time, not your money, not your connections, your energy. Because if your energy is low, everything else suffers. Your focus drops. Your confidence disappears. Your vision fades. But when your energy is high, you're unstoppable. You think sharper. You move faster. You recover quicker. You speak with fire and work with flow. That's why protecting your energy is not optional. It's essential. Let me share a truth you've probably lived through. There are people, places, and habits that feel like slow poison. They don't attack you violently. They wear you down quietly. The friend who always needs something, but never pours back into you. The constant doom scrolling that turns 5 minutes into 2 lost hours. The cluttered environment that silently stresses you out. The internal voice that tells you you're never enough. All of these things, they're leaks. And, like a phone left on 20 background apps, you wonder why your battery's dead by noon. You're drained. Not because you're weak, but because you never turned off what should have been closed. Let me be blunt. You can't live like a winner with loser-level boundaries. You can't walk in purpose if your energy is always hijacked by distraction. You must become ruthless with what drains you, because no one else will do it for you. Let's make this real. Here are 6 ways to protect your energy like it's your most precious currency, because it is. 1. Audit your circle. Ask yourself, does this person multiply my energy or drain it? Energy doesn't lie. Pay attention to how you feel after every interaction. Not everyone deserves access to you even if they love you, especially if they exhaust you. Love them, but love them from a healthy distance. 2. Say no without guilt. Every yes to something meaningless is a no to something important. You don't have to attend every event. You don't owe everyone an explanation. You're allowed to protect your peace without apology. A strong no can save your soul. 3. Watch your input. What are you feeding your mind? Is it content that inspires and builds, or content that compares, numbs, and distracts? Too much junk, and you'll start to feel it. In your mood, in your drive, in your self-worth. Be selective. Treat your mind like a garden, not a landfill. 4. Create sacred time. You need space where the world can't touch you. Mornings, evenings, lunch breaks, choose your time. Disconnect. Journal. Pray. Think. Rest. Dream. This isn't laziness. This is maintenance. Even machines need time to cool down. So do you. 5. Declutter your physical space. Your outer world reflects your inner world. A messy room, a chaotic desk, a pile of unfinished things. It quietly drains you. Clean it. Clear it. Create a space that feels like peace, not pressure, because where you live shapes how you live. 6. Guard your self-talk. Some of your deepest energy leaks come from the voice inside your head. That voice that says, "You're not good enough. Why try? It's too late for you." That voice is a liar. Challenge it. Replace it. Speak to yourself like you would someone you love. You're trying. You're learning. You're not done yet. You deserve to feel good in your body, your mind, and your spirit. The most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine your energy as a bank account. Every task, every thought, every person you interact with is either a deposit or a withdrawal. The goal isn't to have 0 withdrawals. That's impossible. But if your deposit don't outweigh your drains, you go emotionally broke. And when you're broke in energy, you make poor choices. You tolerate toxic patterns. You accept crumbs when you were born to feast. You can't afford that anymore. Let's reflect right now. What in my life gives me energy, and what steals it? Who drains me even if I love them? What habits do I need to end so I can feel full again? How would my life change if I fiercely protected my peace? Because here's what I know. A focused mind with protected energy can build anything. Protecting your energy doesn't make you selfish. It makes you wise. It makes you intentional. It makes you powerful. It makes you unavailable to things that don't align with your purpose. And when you reach that level, you don't chase peace anymore. You become peace. You carry it with you, in your voice, in your schedule. In your eyes, you become a place of rest in a world full of noise. But only when you guard your energy like gold, because it is. Chapter 5. Speak less, mean more. The power of moving in silence. Let me tell you something most people don't understand. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Real power doesn't always speak. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't post every move. It moves in silence. And that's the art I want to teach you right now. Because the older you get, the more you realize the loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. The strongest? They're watching. They're listening. They're planning. They're executing while everyone else is performing. We live in a world obsessed with noise. Everybody's talking, bragging, posting, flexing, announcing plans they haven't even started yet. And then, nothing. Because talking is easy. Talking feels like progress. But it's not. Winners don't announce the grind. They become the result. They let the work speak. They let the result scream. They let their lives become the proof, not their captions. I learned this the hard way. There was a time in my life when I'd get excited about something, a new goal, a new business, a new idea. And what's the first thing I'd do? Tell everyone. I'd talk and talk, imagining how it would feel once I achieved it. But then, I'd lose steam. The goal would fade. The excitement would disappear. Why? Because I spent all my energy talking about the fire instead of feeding it. Until one day I heard this quote, "Lions don't need to tell you they're lions." That hit different, because I realized I was more in love with being seen working than actually doing the work. That was the shift. I went silent. I started showing up without a post. Started winning quietly. Started building when no one clapped. And guess what? The results spoke louder than I ever could. So let me ask you, are you talking too much about what you're going to do? Or are you moving in silence and letting the evidence build? Here's what happens when you master the art of silence. Your energy becomes magnetic. Your moves become unpredictable. Your success becomes unshakable. Because no one can attack what they don't see coming. No one can copy what they don't understand. And no one can block what you don't announce. That's how winners move. Let's break it down. Here's how to move in silence with power starting today. 1. Stop announcing your goals prematurely. You don't owe anyone an update. Don't announce the business before you launch it. Don't share the vision before it's clear. Don't expose your plans to people who only pretend to support you. Keep it sacred. Keep it quiet. Keep it yours until it's ready to breathe. 2. Let your actions become your loudest statement. Forget likes. Forget validation. Forget applause. Your consistency is louder than your words. Your discipline, your progress, your glow up. That's the real flex. 3. Protect your ideas from premature judgment. Some people can't see past their own fear. So when you share your vision with them, they project their limitations onto your potential. Don't let their doubts poison your momentum. Silence gives your dream time to grow roots. 4. Use silence to recharge. You don't always need to reply. You don't always need to defend yourself. You don't always need to explain. Silence is not retreat. It's regrouping. Let them wonder. Let them assume. Let them talk while you work. Number 5. Master the power of stillness in chaos. When people panic, you stay calm. When people react, you reflect. When others seek noise, you become the eye in the storm. Because control isn't always about speaking louder. It's about staying grounded, unshakable. Let me give you a metaphor. Silence is like the soil under a seed. You can't see what's happening, but underneath, things are shifting. Roots are stretching. Foundations are forming. And then one day, that quiet little seed, it breaks the surface, and the world finally sees the fruit. But it all started in the silence. Here's the truth. When you move in silence, you scare the insecure. You confuse the jealous. You protect your peace. and you build a life that doesn't need defending. Because people don't need to know your next move. They'll feel it when it arrives. Let's pause and reflect. Am I sharing my vision with people who aren't qualified to hold it? Do I feel drained by explaining myself too often? What would happen if I gave myself permission to move quietly and powerfully? Because silence isn't weakness. It's weaponized focus. Let them sleep on you. Let them underestimate you. Let them wonder why you disappeared. And then, let your reappearance say everything your mouth never had to. Because silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's the presence of power. You don't need to tell the world who you are. You just need to become it. Move. Quietly. Clearly. Deliberately. Because when your results arrive, they'll speak volumes. And they'll never forget the sound of your silence. Chapter 6. Discipline over drama. Choose focus when life gets loud. Let me ask you something personal. When life gets chaotic, when people start testing you, when everything around you feels like a storm, do you react or do you refocus? Because here's what I've learned. You can't master your life until you master your focus. And you'll never master your focus if you keep choosing drama over discipline. We live in a world where outrage is currency, where distractions knock every 5 minutes, where everyone has an opinion, and almost no one has clarity. So what happens? People get pulled into noise. They chase gossip. They defend themselves against petty critics. They scroll, compare, reply, explain, and argue until they forget why they started in the first place. But winners don't fight every battle. They fight the ones that matter. They don't entertain drama. They exit it. They don't react to chaos. They rise above it. Because they understand this. Every second I spend on nonsense is a second I steal from my purpose. Let me give it to you straight. If you want to win, you must be dangerously disciplined. And by that I mean saying no to what doesn't align even when it's tempting. Ignoring things that are loud but not important. Keeping your head down and your vision sharp when everyone else is clout chasing. Because here's the truth most won't say out loud. Discipline is more powerful than talent. Talent gets distracted. Discipline stays locked in. Talent waits for motivation. Discipline creates momentum. Talent talks. Discipline executes. And when life gets loud, discipline is what keeps your soul quiet. Let me take you into a real-life moment. There was a time I almost lost everything I was building. Why? Because I let distractions steal my focus. Someone said something negative about me online. It got under my skin. I spent the entire week angry, overthinking, crafting the perfect clapback, checking for replies, spinning in circles of drama instead of discipline. That week, I didn't create, I didn't grow, I didn't move forward. And for what? To win an argument with someone who wasn't even building anything. That's when it hit me. You don't have time to prove yourself to people who aren't even walking in your direction. So I stopped talking, stopped reacting, stopped chasing distractions, and I started locking in. I let my silence become strategy. Let my work become my response. Let my focus become my freedom. So here's the question. What's stealing your focus right now? Be honest. Is it people who don't matter? Situations that don't serve you? Temporary feelings that keep pulling you away from your permanent mission? You've got to decide. Discipline or drama. You can't choose both. Let's get practical. Here's how to choose discipline over drama every single day. 1. Wake up with intention. No more, let's see what the day brings. Decide what you bring to the day. Write down 3 non-negotiables every morning. Protect those priorities like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. 2. Create a drama filter. Ask yourself, does this matter in 5 years? Does this help me grow? Does this deserve my energy? If the answer is no, drop it. Not everything deserves a reaction. Some things deserve your absence. 3. Stay out of gossip and emotional traps. You weren't born to be a spectator in other people's chaos. Don't let emotional vampire drain your mission. Protect your peace. Protect your plan. Don't argue. Don't defend. Just move differently. 4. Use triggers as training. Every time something tries to pull you off course, see it as a test. A moment to practice staying grounded. Pause. Breathe. Don't bite the bait. Winners don't react from ego. They respond from purpose. Fem. Visualize your future every single day. Why? Because vision builds discipline. When you can see the life you're creating, you stop getting caught up in the one you're escaping. Hold that vision close. Let it burn in your heart. Let it become louder than the noise around you. That's how you stay locked in. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine your focus as a flashlight. Wherever you point it grows brighter. Now ask yourself, am I shining that light on my goals or on distractions that dim me? You've got to aim it on purpose. Because where your focus goes, your future follows. Let's reflect together. Where am I leaking discipline in exchange for temporary drama? What do I keep reacting to that doesn't deserve my energy? What would change if I committed to 30 days of pure focus? No gossip, no arguing, no distractions. Because this is how winners separate themselves. They don't need the noise. They don't crave the chaos. They don't chase every fire. They become the fire. You've got things to build, ideas to birth, goals to crush, peace to protect, a legacy to leave. You don't have time for drama. So from today forward, train yourself to be unmoved, unshaken, unbothered, unreachable by nonsense, because you've got work to do. And every time you choose discipline over drama, you get one step closer to everything you've ever wanted. Quietly, powerfully, intentionally. Chapter 7. Your environment is a mirror. Rearrange it to reflect your future. Look around you right now. Your room, your workspace, your habits, your relationships. Take a moment and be brutally honest. Does your environment reflect where you're going or where you've been stuck? Because here's the truth. Nobody tells you your environment is not neutral. It's either pushing you forward or pulling you back. I want you to really feel this. Winners don't just work hard. They curate their surroundings to match their destiny. They design their spaces with intention. They protect their peace like a fortress. They edit their environments like their future depends on it, because it does. Because no matter how disciplined you are, if you keep living in a space that mirrors your old mindset, you'll keep repeating old cycles. That cluttered room, that toxic friend group, that messy desk, that loud house with zero boundaries, they aren't just inconvenient, they're informing your identity, and identity drives action. Let me take you back. There was a season in my life when everything felt stuck. No matter how many goals I wrote down, no matter how many motivational videos I watched, nothing changed. And then one day I realized my environment was arguing with my future. I was trying to focus in a room full of noise, trying to grow while surrounded by people who weren't growing, trying to move forward while holding on to the same clutter, habits, and energy that made me feel safe but stagnant. So I made a bold decision. I started rearranging my environment to reflect my next level, not my current one. And that shift? It changed everything. Let's break it down. Here's how to rebuild your environment for intentional success. 1. Clean your physical space. Let's start with the obvious. Clutter creates chaos. Mess drains mental energy. You can't feel like a winner in a room that makes you feel stuck. Organize your room. Clean your desk. Throw out the just-in-case junk you've been keeping for years. This isn't just tidying up. It's spiritual. It's energetic. It's telling your brain, we don't live in the past anymore. 2. Build a space that inspires movement. Design your space like your future self lives there. Add a vision board. Use affirmations on your walls or mirrors. Keep books where you can see them, not just your phone. Make your workspace reflect focus, not distraction. Because what surrounds you shapes what leads you. 3. Audit your digital space. Yes, your phone too. Unfollow accounts that make you feel behind. Delete apps that eat your time. Turn off non-essential notifications. Replace digital clutter with digital clarity. Your phone should be a tool, not a trap. -4. Reevaluate your relationships. This one hurts, but it's necessary. Some people don't belong in your future. Not because they're bad people, but because they feed your past. If you keep going back to the same low-energy circles, don't be surprised when your motivation disappears. Distance is not disrespect. It's protection. You don't have to cut everyone off, but you do have to create space to grow. Set energy boundaries. Not everything deserves your time. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every notification deserves your response. Silence is sacred. Solitude is power. Protect your mornings. Protect your evenings. Protect your peace like your future depends on it, because it does. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine your environment is the soil, and you are the seed. If the soil is toxic, the seed will never grow, even if the seed is strong. But if the soil is rich, healthy, quiet, and protected, that seed, it will break through the surface and become a tree that stands for generations. You are that seed. But you've got to stop trying to grow in environments that are designed to contain you. Let's reflect. What in my environment feels heavy, outdated, or unaligned with who I'm becoming? What physical space have I been tolerating that secretly drains me? What would my surroundings look like if I fully believed in my own future? Because this is not about aesthetics. This is about alignment. You can't keep dreaming about your next level while living in a space designed for your last season. Winners don't just chase goals. They create ecosystems that support success. Their mornings are protected. Their spaces are clean. Their circles are intentional. Their boundaries are clear. And when chaos knocks, their environment brings them back to focus. That's the power of design. That's the power of rearrangement. That's the power of intention. So today, start small. Rearrange on a drawer. Clean one corner. Say no to one person. Turn off one notification. Change one thing about your space. And watch what shifts inside of you. Because every time you upgrade your environment, you send a message to your mind. We're not going back. We're going forward. You don't need a mansion. You don't need perfection. You just need to align what's around you with what's inside you. And when the two match, that's when you rise. That's when you focus. That's when you flow. That's when you win. Quietly, boldly, intentionally. Chapter 8. Make peace with progress. Perfection is a thief. Let me ask you something you may have never said out loud. Have you been waiting for the perfect moment to begin? The perfect body, the perfect plan, the perfect confidence, the perfect idea, the perfect time. Let me tell you the truth, the hard truth, that most people never hear soon enough. Perfection is a thief. It steals your momentum. It robs your confidence. It keeps you frozen in place, even when your heart is screaming move. And here's the twist. Perfection doesn't look like fear. It looks like preparation. It looks like waiting. It looks like planning endlessly. It feels responsible, mature, smart. But underneath it all, it's fear in disguise. Fear of judgment. Fear of failure. Fear of not being enough. So you delay. You tweak. You polish. You stall. And your progress dies in the name of perfection. Let me be real with you. Your dream doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be in motion. Start messy. Start scared. Start with shaky hands and imperfect steps. But start, because done beats perfect every time. There was a time in my life when I waited until I was ready, waited until I felt confident, waited until everything looked perfect on paper. You know what happened? Nothing. No growth, no breakthrough, no change. Because life doesn't reward perfection. Life rewards courage. The courage to begin before you have all the answers. The courage to fail forward. The courage to look foolish and still keep going. Winners aren't perfect. They're resilient. Let's go deeper. Here's how perfectionism shows up in disguise. You start a project, but never finish it. You rewrite the same email 10 times. You're afraid to post your work online because it's not ready. You never launch the business because the logo isn't quite right. You don't speak up because you think you need to be an expert first. Sound familiar? That's perfectionism quietly stealing your life. And the worst part? It looks like you're being productive. But really, you're just stuck. Let's shift. Here's how to choose progress over perfection, starting now. 1. Start before you feel ready. You'll never feel ready. That feeling doesn't come before action, it comes from action. Start small. Start sloppy. Start anyway. Every master was once a beginner who didn't wait. 2. Set deadlines, not dreams. Don't just say someday. Pick a date. Mark the calendar. Hold yourself accountable. Deadlines create movement. Dreams without action create regret. 3. Let B- work change your life. Hear this clearly. B- work submitted consistently will outperform A+ work that never leaves your laptop. Stop waiting to impress the world. Start changing it, one imperfect action at a time. 4. Celebrate effort, not outcome. Did you show up today? Did you try again? Did you push through resistance? That's what builds character. Perfection teaches you to chase results. Progress teaches you to respect the process. And that's where power lives. 2.5. Talk to yourself like a coach, not a critic. Your inner voice matters. When you mess up, don't say, "I'm a failure." Say, "I'm learning." When you fall short, don't say, "I'm not good enough." Say, "I'm getting stronger." You don't need a bully in your brain. You need a believer. Bekind. Be patient, but don't stop moving. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine a sculptor staring at a block of marble. They don't wait until they see every detail. They start chipping, little by little. They remove what doesn't belong. Bit by bit, something beautiful takes shape. That's your life. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're supposed to chip away every day with discipline and trust. And one day, you'll stand back and realize, I didn't need perfection. I needed progress. And that's exactly what I built. Let's reflect together. Where am I waiting for perfection instead of moving with faith? What have I delayed because I'm afraid of it not being good enough? What would my life look like if I gave myself permission to start imperfectly? Because listen closely. You don't need to impress anyone. You just need to begin. Winners make peace with progress. They know excellence is earned through iteration. They aren't afraid of getting it wrong the first few times. Because they understand. Done is better than perfect. Imperfect effort is better than perfect avoidance. A small step forward beats a perfect plan that never leaves your notebook. So if you've been waiting, this is your sign to stop. Take the photo, post the content, pitch the client, apply for the role, start the business, send the email, share your story, build the thing. Do it, not perfectly, but powerfully. Because done is bold. Done is rare. Done is how dreams are built. And perfection is just another prison. You weren't made for that. You were made to move. Messy, imperfect, unstoppable. That's how winners do it. That's how you will do it. Chapter 9. Lead yourself first before you try to lead the world. Everybody wants to be a leader, but most people can't even lead themselves. They want to inspire others, but can't stay consistent with their own habits. They want to give advice, but never follow through on their own commitments. They want respect, but don't respect their own time, energy, or boundaries. You want the truth? You can't lead others until you master the art of leading yourself. And that doesn't mean being perfect. It means being intentional. It means choosing alignment over appearance. It means doing what needs to be done, especially when no one is watching. Because real leadership, it doesn't begin on a stage. It begins in the mirror. Let me take you back. There was a time I wanted to be admired. I wanted people to listen to me, follow me, believe in me. But behind the scenes, I wasn't waking up on time. I was making excuses. I'd set goals and forget them within days. I was looking for influence without responsibility. And one day, I hit a wall. I looked at myself and said, "You want to lead the world, but you can't even lead your own day." That moment, it changed me. I stopped chasing admiration. I started chasing alignment. And that is when everything shifted. Leadership begins with self-leadership. Here's what that really looks like. Doing the hard thing, even when no one claps. Showing up for your goals when you're tired, stressed, or scared. Saying no to short-term pleasure for long-term impact. Keeping promises to yourself. Being the kind of person you'd be proud to follow. If you can lead yourself through discipline, clarity, and purpose, then you'll be trusted to lead others. But not before. Let's make it practical. Here are 5 ways to start leading yourself starting now. 1. Master your mornings. The way you start your day determines who's in charge, you or the world. Wake up with purpose. Don't reach for your phone. Don't snooze your future. Breathe. Move. Think. Plan. Even 10 minutes of intention can change your direction. 2. Keep promises to yourself. This is big. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," and don't, you chip away at your own trust. Would you follow someone who always breaks their word? Then stop breaking yours. Start small. Pick one promise. Keep it. Then stack the next. That's how leaders are built. 3. Speak to yourself with respect. You can't lead what you don't value. If you're constantly calling yourself lazy, stupid, behind, or hopeless, you won't rise. You'll retreat. Leadership begins with self-respect. Talk to yourself like a champion in progress, because that's who you are. 4. Make decisions like your future self. When faced with a choice, ask, what would the most disciplined, powerful, intentional version of me choose right now? That question alone can redirect your life. Winners don't always feel motivated, but they decide in alignment with their vision, not their mood. That's leadership. 5. Own your outcomes without excuses. Stop blaming your past. Stop blaming others. Stop blaming your circumstances. Own your decisions. Own your pace. Own your journey. Not because it's easy, but because it's yours. Self-leadership is built on accountability. It says, I may not control what happens to me, but I will control how I respond and what I do next. That's power. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine your life as a ship. You are the captain. If you don't grab the wheel, storms will steer you. If you drift without intention, you'll end up somewhere you never chose. But when you lead yourself, you steer with clarity. You navigate with strength. And even when the wind hits hard, you hold your course, because the compass is inside you. Let's pause and reflect. Where in my life am I waiting for others to lead when I should take the wheel? Am I someone I'd be proud to follow? What would change if I led my time, my energy, and my mindset like my life depended on it? Because the truth is, it does. You want to lead others? You want to build influence? You want to inspire your family, your community, your audience? Then start by being your own example. Lead yourself out of excuses into growth, away from blame, toward alignment. You don't need a title. You don't need applause. You don't need followers. You need discipline. You need ownership. You need quiet, intentional moves that say, I lead me, and that's more than enough. So, from today forward, be the kind of person you follow with confidence, the kind of voice you listen to with trust, the kind of soul that moves with honor even in silence. Because leadership isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. And when you master yourself, you'll walk into any room, and the world will know. This one leads with intention. Chapter 10. Let your presence speak before you say a word. Before you open your mouth, before you shake a hand, before you explain who you are or what you do, you've already said something. Not with words, but with presence. The way you walk, the way you enter a room, the way you hold eye contact, the energy that moves before you. That's presence. And make no mistake, presence is louder than speech. Presence is a message. Presence is your silent signature. Have you ever met someone who didn't have to say much, but you could feel something powerful about them? They weren't flashy. They weren't even trying to impress you. But their stillness commanded attention. Their posture spoke volumes. Their energy whispered, I know who I am. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. That's self-awareness. That's internal authority. And it's something you can build. Because presence is not about being the loudest. It's about being the most rooted. Let me tell you something you won't hear on social media. In a world obsessed with attention, winners are focused on intention. They don't walk into a room looking for validation. They walk in knowing they belong. And that doesn't mean they have all the answers. It means they're anchored in identity, anchored in values, anchored in self-respect. That's what creates presence. You don't need to be rich to have presence. You don't need a title, a suit, or a six-figure smile. You need clarity about who you are and who you are not. Presence isn't about volume, it's about vibration. You can be silent and still speak. You can be calm and still command. Because true power doesn't shout, it radiates. Let me give you a practical breakdown. Here are 6 ways to develop powerful presence starting today. 1. Own your space. Whether you're standing or sitting, stop shrinking. Straighten your spine. Lift your chin. Uncross your arms. Take up space. Not to dominate, but to demonstrate. I am not apologizing for existing. Presence begins in posture. 2. Make intentional eye contact. Look people in the eye, not to intimidate, but to connect. Hold their gaze with calmness. It says, I see you, and I'm not afraid to be seen. Presence is felt most in moments of still attention. 3. Slow your movements. Fast movements signal nervousness. Slow, deliberate motion shows control. Walk like you have time. Gesture with meaning. Don't fidget, flinch, or fill silence with noise. Stillness creates gravity. 4. Breathe deeply always. Shallow breath equals shallow presence. Deep breathing grounds you. It slows your thoughts. It centers your energy. People can feel when your energy is scattered. Anchor it with breath. 5. Say less and mean more. Don't rush to fill every gap with words. Let your energy hold space. Speak when needed. Speak with purpose. Let pauses become power. Silence used wisely is the language of leaders. 6. Lead with energy, not ego. Presence is not about being the center of attention. It's about being the calmest force in the room. When everyone else is rushing, you stay grounded. When tension rises, you remain steady. When others perform, you stay real. That contrast, that stillness, that's presence. Let me give you a metaphor. Think of a mountain. It doesn't move. It doesn't speak. It doesn't chase attention, but it commands respect. That's what you become when you stop seeking approval and start embodying alignment. Let's reflect together. What message does my presence send before I speak? Am I shrinking or standing in my truth? Do I move with intention or reaction? What would change if I walked into every room already believing I belong? Because here's the secret. When you believe in yourself, others feel it. They don't always know why, but they respond differently. Your presence teaches people how to treat you. It tells the room how to regard you. It shapes how the world receives you. You don't need more noise. You don't need to prove yourself. You need presence. Grounded, rooted, unshaken, aligned. From today forward, practice walking in as the answer, the solution, the calm, the focus, the vision. Don't explain it. Be it. Your voice may speak second, but your presence will speak first. And it will say, this one knows who they are. This one moves differently. This one is already winning. Chapter 11. Move with purpose, not pressure you set the pace. Breathe in, slowly, and ask yourself this. Are you moving with purpose? Or are you rushing under pressure? Because there's a difference. A big one. One feels powerful. The other feels like drowning. Look, the world will try to convince you that faster is better. Move faster. Decide quicker. Speak sooner. Post constantly. Hustle harder. Sleep later. But let me say this clearly. Speed without direction is chaos. You can be busy and still be lost. You can be fast and still going nowhere. Winners don't let the world rush them. They move with rhythm, with clarity, with purpose, because they know. They set the pace, not the pressure. Let me take you back. There was a season where I felt behind. I'd scroll social media and see people winning. New cars, big launches, 6-figure months, trips, results, awards. And I panicked, not because I wasn't growing, but because I wasn't growing fast enough. So I pushed, I rushed, I stopped listening to my own rhythm and started chasing everyone else's. And guess what happened? I burned out. I lost clarity, and I stopped enjoying the very thing I was building. Why? Because I let pressure take the wheel and forgot that I already had a purpose. Here's the truth. Not everything meaningful can be rushed. A tree doesn't grow faster because the tree next to it is taller. A river doesn't rush because people are watching. Seasons don't compete, they flow. And when you understand that, you start honoring your own pace. You stop trying to catch up to people who aren't even on the same path. You stop living in comparison and start moving in conviction. Let's get practical. Here's how to move with purpose, not pressure, starting today. 1. Define what winning looks like for you. Don't let culture define success for you. What do you actually want? Peace? Freedom? Impact? Legacy? Write it down, because pressure often comes from chasing someone else's dream, not your own. 2. Audit your pace. Ask yourself, am I moving faster than my body, mind, and spirit can handle? If you feel anxious, burnt out, or disconnected, it's a sign you're out of alignment. Slow down. Breathe. Refocus. Your dream is still there, but you won't reach it by wrecking yourself along the way. 3. Detach from artificial deadlines. The internet will make you feel like you're failing if you're not a millionaire by 25, or married by 30, or viral by Friday. Let it go. You're not late. You're not behind. You're on your schedule. Stay committed to the mission, not the pressure. 4. Rest without guilt. High performers rest, not because they're lazy, but because they're smart. Rest is strategy. Rest is where creativity breathes. Rest is how you reset, so you can return with focus. You don't earn rest, you need it. Schedule it. Honor it. Protect it. 5. Make peace with progress. Growth is not linear. Some days you sprint. Other days, you pause. Both are sacred. You don't need to prove how fast you are. You need to prove how aligned you are, because movement without meaning is just noise. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine you're driving a powerful car. If you slam the gas non-stop, never take your hands off the wheel, you'll crash or stall out. But if you learn to drive with rhythm, accelerate, cruise, pause, refuel, you'll get farther, smoother, and stronger. That's what moving with purpose feels like. You're still moving. You're just not rushing. You're not pushed by fear. You're pulled by vision. Let's reflect together. Where am I rushing because of someone else's timeline? Where has pressure replaced purpose in my journey? What would change if I trusted my pace instead of chasing the world's applause? Because listen closely, you don't need to move faster. You need to move smarter. With alignment. With peace. With presence. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not failing. You are becoming at your pace, in your season, with your fingerprint. So from today forward, no more panic, no more chasing, no more comparing, no more speed traps disguised as ambition. You are the leader. You are the pace setter. You are the one in charge of this story. So move with rhythm, move with breath, move with meaning, and let the world catch up to the version of you that no longer runs out of fear, but walks with fire. Chapter 12. Every step counts. How to stack tiny wins into unstoppable momentum. You've probably heard the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. But what they don't tell you is this. Rome was built daily, brick by brick, hour by hour, small decision by small decision. That's how empires are made. That's how you will win. Because while the world is obsessed with big wins, the real game changers, they stack tiny ones. Let me say it another way. Every step counts. Not just the loud ones, not just the viral ones, not just the ones people notice, but the quiet ones, the boring ones, the hard ones when no one's watching. The win isn't in a leap, it's in the layering. One page, one workout, one no to the wrong thing, one yes to your better self. Stacked day after day. That's what creates momentum. That's what makes you unshakable. Let me tell you about a season in my life where I thought I was getting nowhere. I was doing the work, posting, planning, writing, building, but no traction, no applause, no fireworks. I almost quit, but instead, I kept stacking, day by day, quietly, faithfully. And then one day it hit, not because I suddenly got better, but because I had compound consistency. The momentum I couldn't see at first. was building like a wave beneath the surface. And when it finally broke, it looked like an overnight success. But it wasn't. It was every invisible brick finally showing up in the light. So here's what I want to give you today. The permission to go small with big intention. Because the most powerful progress doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like choosing water instead of soda, waking up 15 minutes earlier, writing one paragraph, showing up for a 5-minute workout, making one brave phone call, saying no to one distraction. Small? Yes. But powerful? Absolutely. Because the more tiny wins you collect, the more identity you create. And identity is what makes habits stick. Let's make it practical. Here's how to stack tiny wins that create unstoppable momentum. 1. Shrink the task. Don't try to climb the mountain in one day. Ask, what's the next smallest step I can take that still honors my goal? Then take it. And tomorrow, take the next one. Repeat until the summit doesn't seem so far. 2. Track your streaks, not your perfection. Winning isn't about never missing. It's about not quitting. Mark your wins. Count your days. Even if it's 5 minutes. Momentum builds when you see yourself showing up. 3. Celebrate effort, not just outcome. You won't see results every day. But if you showed up, you won today. Applaud that. Rewire your brain to associate showing up with success. That's how discipline becomes natural. 4. Forgive fast and restart sooner. You'll slip. You'll miss a day. You'll fall short. Don't spiral. Don't restart next week. Restart now. Tiny wins can't compound if you keep canceling the whole streak for one missed rep. Progress loves grace. 5. Visualize momentum like a snowball. Imagine each tiny win as a handful of snow. At first, small, but roll it. Stack it. Pack it. Every day. And suddenly, it's massive, unstoppable, rolling downhill with force. That's your life when you stop underestimating the small stuff. Let me give you a metaphor. Think of a water faucet dripping into a cup. At first, nothing seems to change, just drops, one at a time. But drip by drip, the cup fills, and eventually it overflows. That overflow? That's breakthrough. But it started with drops. Let's reflect right now. Where have I been chasing big wins while ignoring the small ones? What's one small action I can take daily that my future self will thank me for? What would my life look like if I honored the tiny bricks as much as the big milestones? Because here's the truth. Your life is being built right now, not in some distant future, not in some grand moment, but in today's choices. You don't need to be extraordinary. You need to be faithful to your small steps. Every journal entry, every minute of focused work, every decision to stay calm, every habit you repeat, those are bricks. And every brick you lay with intention becomes the foundation of a life that stands. So from today forward, don't underestimate your step. Honor your effort. Collect your wins, no matter how tiny. And when doubt whispers, this isn't enough, you respond with, it is, because I'm building, and every step counts. And eventually, those steps become your stride. And your stride becomes your story. Chapter 13. Win from within. The final victory is mental. You've learned how to walk with presence, how to speak with power, how to work with purpose, how to move with discipline, how to protect your peace, and build your legacy step by step. But if you forget this one thing, everything else will collapse. The final victory is mental. And if you don't win the war inside your mind, you'll keep losing battles in the outside world. You can't move with intention if your mind is in chaos. You can't act with clarity if your thoughts are full of noise. You can't lead others if you don't even trust yourself. This is not about mindset hacks. This is about mental freedom. Because here's the truth. You are not what happened to you. You are not your doubts. You are not your trauma. You are not your fear. You are the thinker, the builder, the warrior behind the curtain. And the moment you reclaim authority over your own thoughts, everything changes. Let me take you into a real moment. I was building, grinding, improving on the outside. But every time I got close to a breakthrough, I'd self-sabotage. I'd overthink. I'd retreat. I'd shrink. Why? Because deep down, there was a voice inside me that whispered, "You're not ready. You don't deserve this. You're going to mess it up. They'll see through you." And as long as that voice ran the show, I could only go so far. Until one day, I stopped running. I faced it. I asked that voice, "Who taught you that?" And I realized it wasn't me. It was fear. It was old programming. It was insecurity disguised as logic. So I stopped agreeing. I started rewriting. I started winning the war within. Because listen, the most dangerous battlefield isn't out there. It's between your ears. And you will either master your mind, or your mind will master you. So let's talk about it. Here's how to win from within and master the inner world that shapes your outer results. Yidden. Catch your mental loops. Start noticing what your mind says on autopilot. "I always mess this up. They're probably better than me. This never works for me. Why even try?" That's not just harmless self-talk. That's a script, and it's programming your reality. The first step? Catch it. Name it. Disrupt it. You can't change what you're not aware of. 2. Interrupt doubt with action. When your mind floods with fear, don't wait. Move. Take a small step. Send the message. Do the thing. Because action is how you prove the mind wrong. 3. Speak to yourself like a winner. If you spoke to your friend the way you speak to yourself, would they stick around? Start saying, "I've got this. Even if I fail, I'll learn. This fear is old, but I'm new. I don't need to be perfect. I need to keep going." Your voice is the most important one you'll ever hear. Train it. -4. Reframe failure as feedback. Winners don't fear failure. They use it. You didn't lose. You learned. You didn't fail. You found out what doesn't work. And that knowledge, that's fuel. The more feedback you gather, the more precise you become. 5. Visualize the next version of you. Every morning, see them. Not just what they have, but how they think. How do they respond to challenges? How do they speak to themselves? What do they believe about their worth? Step into that mental model today, not someday. Now, let me give you a metaphor. Imagine your mind is a house. If you don't lock the doors, anything can walk in. Fear, doubt, comparison, shame, old programming. But when you become the architect and the gatekeeper, you redesign the walls. You choose what stays. You clear the clutter. And suddenly, the space becomes powerful. That's what mental discipline creates. Let's pause and reflect. What stories have I been telling myself that are no longer true? Where have I been mentally stuck, even though I'm physically moving? How would my life change if I mastered my mind instead of being mastered by it? Because this is the final layer. This is the inner room that shapes every outer win. And no matter how much progress you've made externally, if you don't own your thoughts, you'll keep sabotaging your path. But when you win from within, you become unstoppable. You speak with calm. You walk with purpose. You lead with power. You work with peace. You move with intention. And the world, it will respond to the authority you carry even before you say a word. Because you are no longer reacting to life. You are writing it. So from this day forward, take back your mind. Rewire it with truth. Rebuild it with clarity. Refuse to rent space to fear. And feed it daily with focus, vision, and self-respect. Because once your mind aligns, your life will. And that, my friend, is the final victory, the conclusion. The way you move is the way you win. Let's pause for a second. Breathe. Think about how far you've come. From the very first chapter to this moment right now, you've been walking step by step back toward yourself. Not some new version of you, but the real you, the version that was always there, under the noise, under the pressure, under the fear, under the years of moving on autopilot. You've been waking up to the truth of who you are and how powerful it is when you move with intention. So now, let's put it all together. Because the way you walk is not just about posture. It's about presence. It's about how you carry yourself even when no one's watching. How you show up before you speak a word. How you enter every room like you belong there because you do. The way you talk, it's not about sounding smart. It's about speaking with alignment. Letting your words mean something. Letting your voice be clear, calm, strong, and sacred. Choosing depth over noise. Saying less, but meaning more. The way you work, it's not just about being busy. It's about building, brick by brick, hour by hour, with passion, with clarity, with discipline. You're not just showing up anymore. You're constructing something that will outlive you. The way you handle pressure, that's where your peace is forged. You've learned to protect your energy, to say no without guilt, to guard your boundaries, to stop explaining your worth and start embodying it. You're not moved by drama anymore. You move differently. You've learned that every step counts. That small wins compound. That momentum builds quietly until it breaks through loudly. You've learned that you don't need perfection. You need consistency. And most of all, you've learned that the real game is mental. That what happens within you shapes everything around you. And now, you're no longer begging the world to see you. You're no longer chasing approval. You're no longer shrinking yourself to fit inside small rooms. You're becoming the kind of person who sets the standard, who walks in alignment, who moves on purpose. So here's what I want you to take with you. You are in control of how you move, and how you move determines what follows you. The pace you set, the energy you radiate, the decisions you make, the habits you build, the way you speak to yourself, the way you show up even when no one's clapping. That's how you win. Not in one moment, but in every moment. You don't have to wait for a new year. You don't need permission. You don't need applause. You don't need a title. You don't need to prove anything. All you need to do is move like you already know. This life is mine to shape, and I will shape it intentionally. So let this be your reminder. You are not ordinary. You are not invisible. You are not behind. You are building something sacred, and the way you move will either strengthen it or sabotage it. So from this moment forward, walk like your steps matter because they do. Speak like your words plant seeds because they do. Work like your time creates legacy because it does. Think like your thoughts become real because they will. And above all, move like a winner because you are one. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them whisper. But you move with certainty. You move with purpose. You move with peace. Because that's how you win. Quietly, boldly, deliberately, intentionally. If this audiobook stirred something in you, if it woke up a fire, if it reminded you of your worth, if it helped you see yourself more clearly, then don't stop here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and go listen to another audiobook that keeps you in this zone of elevation. Because this isn't the end. It's the start of your next chapter. A chapter where you lead, where you walk like royalty, where you work like a builder, where you speak like a lion, where you carry yourself like someone the world cannot ignore. Not because you shouted, but because you moved with intention. This has been the art of moving with intention. Your time, your energy, your focus matters. And now, so does your next step. Take it.